I thought my next trip out of country would be to visit Germany. I wasn't expecting to go to Sierra Leone in Africa. I was asked by my university to make a documentary on Centennial Secondary School in Matrujiang. I really couldn't say no. I desperately needed a trip out of country. But you know what? I struggled with something. I wasn't struggling with the trip. I wasn't struggling with missions. And I also wasn't struggling with going to Africa instead of Germany. What I struggled with was my role. I kept asking myself, what difference can a guy with a camera make? What I'm struggling with in my fundraising efforts is that people don't seem to realize how important art and media is in ministry and missions, nor do they understand the need for the gospel in Europe. And as a result, a lot of people don't understand what I do, and I get pretty discouraged. What I do on a day-to-day basis as a missionary isn't quite as straightforward. I'm not working in an orphanage, I'm not preaching, I'm not doing construction projects or working with refugees, I'm not tending to the sick or working in a hospital. I'm a guy with a camera. I take pictures and I make videos. And yet, we seem to forget about the power of art and media. And part of that is because our Western society is so oversaturated with it. I have a lot of trouble getting my work seen or my voice heard. Even within the church, there are so many voices louder than mine. There are people championing a cause with louder cries and fanfare than what I can produce. And at the end of the day, it just makes me feel so insignificant and like my work doesn't matter. And yet, we forget that media is the single most influential force in this world. I mean, why wouldn't we want to use this effectively to help spread the gospel of Jesus Christ? It's really strange to think that there is a higher percentage of Christians in one small African nation than in the entirety of Europe. But it's true. Europe has a spiritual poverty that we are not seeing and is, as a result, not being addressed. When we think of poverty, we think of a lack of material things. But the greatest poverty is the lack of the Spirit. It's the lack of knowing Jesus Christ. And truth be told, the Christian church in Africa is growing, and it's strong. But it's not that way in Europe. The church in Europe is dying. And yet, to us, Africa is the mission field, not Europe. European countries and the people of Europe have a greater need for the gospel. But in order to reach the people of Europe and raise awareness for this need, we need to use the most powerful tool at our disposal, and that is art and storytelling through digital media. This right here is what Africa taught me. I am not just a guy with a camera, but my role as a missionary is something so much more. So what can a guy with a camera do? Actually, I can do quite a bit. You see, part of what I do is I am the eyes and the ears. I am the messenger, I am a storyteller, I am an artist, and I'm a missionary. My role as a filmmaker and as an artist and as a storyteller takes me to places where others won't go. To the people who've been forgotten and environments where the gospel is needed. You see, what I can do with a camera is that I can bring the gospel in a visual, artistic way that can connect with people throughout Europe. And at the same time, I can use those same skills to show the people back home in the U.S. the need for the gospel throughout Europe and why it's so important that we support missionaries who are going to Europe. This sounds great and all, but at the end of the day, I'm just one person. I cannot do this on my own. I need help. Because on my own, I cannot change the world. But together, unified through Christ, we can spread the gospel and we can make a difference in someone's life.